Let me preface this by saying I've been diagnosed with schizophrenia for a few years now. I take my meds, I go to therapy, and for the most part, things have been stable. My name's Jason, I'm 34, and I live in a small town in Oregon. My wife, Clara, and I have been together for 7 years, married for 4. Things started getting weird around 9 months ago when Clara's younger sister, Nadia, moved in with us temporarily. She was having some financial trouble after losing her job and needed a place to stay. I didn't have a problem with that at first. She was family. It started subtly. I'd be sitting in the living room or passing by the hallway, and I'd hear what sounded like someone whispering. Very low, just enough to make me freeze. I'd ask Nadia, "Did you say something?" And every time, she'd give me that innocent look and shake her head, like I was crazy for even asking. I've heard voices before. But the timing here was off. I hadn't had auditory hallucinations in nearly 2 years. Not a single one. Not until she moved in. It got more frequent. Only when she was nearby. That's what got me thinking. I started making mental notes. The whispers never happened when Clara and I were alone in the house. Only when Nadia was in the same room, or just outside the door. She'd mutter under her breath, or move her lips slightly, then stop if I looked at her. After about 3 months, I had a breakdown. Not like screaming or anything. I just shut down. Laid in bed for hours. Couldn't sleep. Couldn't think. Just trying to convince myself I was still sane. I didn't tell Clara right away. I thought maybe I could handle it. But the second breakdown hit harder. I finally told Clara everything. She looked at me like she was scared. Not of Nadia, but of me. She kept saying, "Nadia wouldn't do something like that. She's just going through a rough time." That didn't help. After that, I started watching Nadia more closely. She had these weird habits, standing in doorways, whispering to herself when she thought no one was watching. I tried to record it in my head, memorize her movements. I couldn't catch full words, just fragments. "He'll crack," or "watch him." Clara got frustrated. She said I was getting paranoid again. My psychiatrist adjusted my meds. Nothing changed. I still heard the whispers. Still felt like someone was messing with me. Clara kept insisting that Nadia was innocent. But she wasn't the one hearing voices when Nadia walked past the bathroom door at 2 a.m. The worst moment was a couple weeks later. I was walking down the hallway when I heard a clear whisper. No mistaking it this time. A full sentence. "You're not safe here." It came from the kitchen. I walked straight in and found Nadia sipping water at the counter, like nothing happened. I lost it. Not violent or anything, but I yelled. "Just admit it. You're whispering on purpose. Why are you doing this to me?" She looked confused. Then started crying. She ran out the door. I stood there, trying to figure out what the hell just happened. I knew she was going to call Clara at work. She always calls Clara when things don't go her way. Clara came home furious. Said she got a frantic call from Nadia saying I accused her of whispering demonic stuff. Clara told me she couldn't take this anymore, that I needed help, serious help. She kept saying, "I love you, but I need you to trust that this might be part of your illness." All the while, Nadia stood behind her, red-eyed, silent, nodding like some victim of abuse. It was so fake, I couldn't stand it. I backed off. Told Clara I'd drop it. But I didn't. I started recording things. Whenever Nadia did something weird, like whispering to herself while making coffee, or staring at me while muttering, I hit record on my phone. Most of the time, the recordings picked up nothing useful. But I kept at it. Then one night, everything changed. I was in the bathroom, trying to get a moment to myself. I left my phone recording by accident on the counter. I came back an hour later, played it back out of habit. There it was. The door creaked softly. Then whispering. Clear. Right outside the bathroom. It was her voice. "He's going to break soon, so easy, just wait." I listened again. Same voice. Same tone. No mistaking it. Nadia had been whispering on purpose. And now I had proof. I didn't tell Clara right away. I needed more. Just in case she thought I faked it. I had a plan. I didn't sleep that night. I just kept listening to the recording over and over again. I wasn't hearing things. Nadia was whispering. You can hear the creak of the door, a faint shuffle, then her voice, low and deliberate. Not loud enough to make out all the words, but enough to prove she was doing it. Enough for someone else to hear and understand that I wasn't imagining it. The next morning, Clara was getting ready for work when I asked if we could talk. I didn't go into details, just told her I had something important to show her. I waited until she finished her coffee, and then I played the recording. She listened. At first, she looked confused, like she wasn't sure what she was hearing. I watched her face shift slowly, eyebrows pulling together, lips pressing tighter. When the whispering started, she looked up at me. That's Nadia?" I didn't say anything. I just nodded. She didn't speak for a while. She played it again. Then again. "Why would she do that?" she asked finally. That was the question I'd been asking myself for months. Clara was quiet the whole drive to work. She didn't say much that night either, except that she wanted to talk to her sister alone the next day. I don't know exactly what happened during that conversation. All I know is, when I came back from my therapy session that afternoon, Nadia's stuff was gone. Suitcase packed. No goodbye. Just gone. Clara told me she confronted her, played the recording, and asked for an explanation. Nadia didn't deny it. According to Clara, she laughed. Said it was just a joke. Said I was too sensitive. Said it wasn't a big deal. Clara told her to leave and not come back. That was it. The house felt different after that. Quieter. I stopped hearing the whispers almost immediately. Not gradually, immediately. Like someone had flipped a switch. I told my psychiatrist everything, even played the recording. He was surprised. Said it wasn't typical, but he also reminded me that having schizophrenia didn't mean I was wrong about everything. Sometimes people with mental illness are also telling the truth. That sentence stuck with me. Over the next few weeks, Clara and I tried to get back to normal. She apologized for not believing me. I didn't blame her. How could she have known? I wouldn't have believed me either. I kept taking my meds, kept seeing my doctor, kept trying to move forward. But there was always this question hanging over everything. Why? Why would someone go out of their way to make me feel like I was slipping again? Why would someone play with a mental illness like it was a game? Clara said Nadia always had a cruel streak, but she never thought it would go that far. We haven't heard from Nadia since. No texts. No calls. Nothing. Last I heard, she moved in with some friend across town. I still keep that recording. Not because I need proof anymore, but because it reminds me that I wasn't wrong. That it actually happened. That's the part that still messes with me, the fact that I was right, and no one believed me until I had proof. It makes me wonder how many other people out there are dealing with something real that nobody believes. And how many of them never get the proof. Next story. I'm 29F, getting married in a few months after a 3-year engagement. My fiancé, 31M, and I booked our dream venue 3 years ago. It's super popular and hard to reserve, so we locked it in early. Last weekend, my parents hosted a family barbecue at their place in upstate New York. Everything was normal until my younger sister, Amanda, 26F, stood up and announced that she was pregnant. Everyone clapped and congratulated her. It was a big deal, first grandkid and all. Then, in front of everyone, she looked straight at me and said, "Your venue is so beautiful. I'd love to use it for my wedding. I just can't plan anything big right now with the baby." The backyard went quiet. I just said, "No, Amanda. I've waited years for this." She started crying, then stormed into the house. My grandmother told me I was being selfish. My mom jumped in, saying, "You waited 3 years. What's a few more months? She's pregnant and can't wait." I tried explaining, but my dad looked disappointed. My fiancé was clearly pissed and whispered to me, "We're leaving." We left before he exploded. Later that night, Amanda called me sobbing, saying I always get what I want and she's tired of it. Her fiancé, Matt, called afterward and said he didn't even know she was going to ask, and that he was embarrassed by the whole thing. He warned me she was blaming me for ruining her marriage. Over the next few days, I got texts from my dad saying Amanda hadn't stopped crying. My mom called my fiancé's parents and told them it would be best if we gave the venue to Amanda. My future father-in-law basically told her to get lost and that if they kept playing favorites, they'd lose me. At that point, my fiancé and I decided to remove Amanda from the bridal party and replaced her with my aunt, one of the few family members who supported us. That should have been the end of it. It wasn't. A couple of days later, Amanda sent me a long text saying I was choosing a building over family. And this is just one thing she's asked for. I snapped and sent her this. "I'm done being your doormat. You ruined my graduation by insisting it be about you. You made me share birthdays. I filled out job applications for you because you were too lazy to do them yourself. I won't cancel the wedding I've been planning for years. Get married somewhere else. I'm not giving you my venue." She replied, "Wow, you must love me so very much." And blocked me. The next day, I got a message from the venue's wedding planner saying my mom had called to rebook the place under Amanda's name, and there would be extra charges for the name change. She assumed it was authorized. Luckily, our planner didn't proceed with anything because she knew changes needed my approval in person. My older brother, Jason, called me soon after. He had gotten a twisted version of the story from our parents, something about me offering the venue and then humiliating Amanda at the barbecue. I told him what actually happened. He wasn't surprised and said that favoritism was one of the reasons he moved across the country and went low contact. We decided to inform every vendor working on our wedding that no one except us was allowed to make changes. Our planner offered to bring in security on the wedding day, at a discount, just in case. But things got worse before they got better. Amanda started posting vague passive-aggressive rants on Facebook, stuff like, "Some people would rather see you suffer than let go of a stupid building." A few of her friends started messaging me, calling me selfish. Then Amanda's best friend egged my car. My neighbor, this retired lady who's basically a neighborhood watch all on her own, saw the whole thing and gave the police the full description. I filed the report. No one from my family said a word. A few days later, my parents asked to meet. I agreed, but only with my fiancée present. They came over, and it was tense from the second they walked in. My mom looked like she'd been crying for hours. We tried small talk. Then my dad asked why we canceled the original caterers. My fiancée said, "Because we don't want anyone holding anything over us later." My dad acted hurt. "I would never do that." I just said, "Better safe than sorry." My mom said I was being disrespectful. I reminded her how they had treated me since the barbecue. Then we argued about the venue again. My dad repeated that. "The wedding isn't about the location, it's about the person you're marrying." So I said, "Exactly. So why doesn't that apply to Amanda?" Silence. My dad turned red. My mom cried again. My dad started ranting about sacrifice and family. I told him. "Like the time Amanda smashed my graduation cake because she didn't like not being the center of attention?" Silence again. Then my mom hit me with, "Why do you hate us so much?" I said, "I could ask you the same thing." They had nothing to say. Eventually, they admitted Amanda had been having meltdowns and that she just needs more attention because she's the youngest. I told them I was done bending backwards. That I had seen the favoritism my whole life and wasn't going to pretend it didn't exist anymore. My mom tried again with the guilt. "Amanda's miserable. She doesn't go out. People judge her." I just said, "That's not my problem." We haven't talked since. Amanda hasn't tried to contact me either. The wedding is still on, and we're moving forward with security and a tight guest list. I'm done playing the role of the understanding older sister. If this means going low contact or even no contact with my parents, so be it. I'm just glad I stood my ground. Next story. Last year, my sister, Jessica, asked me to be her maid of honor. I thought it was weird. She had promised that role to her best friend, Rachel, since they were in middle school. Literally everyone was surprised, but whenever anyone brought it up, Jessica just changed the subject. On the wedding day, Rachel showed up, sitting near the back, wearing this bright, eccentric dress. Honestly, it looked like something only she would wear, typical Rachel. It was bold, sure, but nothing too crazy. Still, Jessica was clearly pissed. I saw her pouring a glass of champagne, staring at Rachel like she wanted to kill her. I followed her, and yeah, she was heading straight for Rachel. I stopped her and asked what the hell she was doing. She snapped. Screamed loud enough to make everyone turn around. I told her flat out, either calm down or I'm leaving. She froze, then walked off toward the bathroom. The rest of the wedding was tense. No one brought it up again, but the vibe was off. After the wedding, Jessica started trashing Rachel any chance she got. Said their friendship was over. Wouldn't say why. Just acted like Rachel had personally ruined her life. What confused me most? Jessica never blamed me for stopping her mid-outburst. Instead, she dumped everything on Rachel. She kept calling her manipulative, attention-seeking, etc. I asked what actually happened between them. Jessica said it was none of my business and I should support my real sister. Eventually, I snapped and told Jessica that Rachel had always dressed like that, and if it was a problem, she could have just talked to her. Jessica screamed at me, called me names, then ghosted me for a day. She's been bad-mouthing me to our dad ever since. My mom, on the other hand, told Jessica she needed to apologize to Rachel. A few days later, Jessica's husband, Mike, called me. Apparently, they had a fight too, on their wedding night. He tried defending Rachel, and Jessica lost it. Mike asked me if I knew what he did wrong, and I said I didn't even know why Rachel wasn't in the wedding party. That's when things got weird. Mike told me he had actually wanted Rachel as his best woman. Jessica wanted her as maid of honor. Neither wanted to give in, so Jessica suggested they just leave Rachel out of both parties. According to Mike, she explained this to Rachel and that's why they had a falling out. I hung up confused. Rachel had never mentioned any of this. I texted her and asked if she knew about this whole maid of honor versus best woman debate. She had no idea what I was talking about. Then, out of nowhere, one of the bridesmaids messaged me and warned me not to pick up if Mike called again. Meanwhile, Jessica was screaming at my dad over the phone. That night, Mike called me again. This time, he was angry. He asked if any of his groomsmen had acted inappropriately toward me. I said no, they'd all been respectful. Then he asked if Rachel knew she was supposed to be the best woman. Again, I said not that I knew. He laughed and hung up. Things weren't adding up. The next morning, Rachel called me. She'd just gotten a message from Mike too and had no clue what was going on. A few hours later, everything exploded. Turns out, Jessica had been lying to everyone. First of all, Mike had a rough past. He was in jail years ago and struggled with addiction. Before Jessica ever met him, Rachel had helped him get back on his feet. Gave him support, helped him find work, kept him stable. They became really close friends. 2 years later, Rachel introduced Mike to Jessica. At first, Jessica didn't want to date him because of his past, but eventually they got together. The problem? Jessica was embarrassed by his background. She told us that they met on a dating app. Mike went along with it. When things got serious, Mike said they should come clean. Jessica promised she would, then forged a fake letter from our family, thanking him for being honest. She also told Rachel that our parents reacted badly, so Rachel avoided talking about it to protect him. Fast forward to the engagement. Mike wanted Rachel to be his best woman, and have some of his recovery group attend. Jessica panicked. She didn't want her lies exposed, so she told Mike she was upset about Rachel not being her maid of honor, and used that as a reason to leave Rachel out of the wedding entirely. But she never told Rachel anything. Rachel thought she was just a regular guest. Jessica also told the bridesmaids a bunch of lies. Said Rachel was dramatic, would try to hook up with the groomsmen, and had a drinking problem. The goal was to isolate Rachel and make her look like a problem so nobody would believe her if she started talking. To top it off, she told everyone that the only reason Rachel was invited was because I idolized her. That way, if I defended her, she'd seem like I was just blinded. Mike's speech at the wedding didn't mention his past at all because Jessica asked him not to. Same with his friends. Jessica told them our family was sensitive about the topic. After the wedding, she faked outrage about the dress to push Rachel out for good. Then she started turning people against me and even Mike, once he started asking questions. The only reason this blew up is because Rachel finally asked Mike directly what happened. Mike called me again, this time furious. When I told him Rachel had no idea about any of it, he confronted Jessica. She denied it all. Until Rachel pulled out the receipts, texts, emails, everything. Jessica went into full damage control. Claimed she panicked and didn't know how to come clean. Now, she's not talking to anyone. My dad is still on her side. My mom isn't. Mike is sleeping at his brother's place. Rachel hasn't said what she's going to do, but she told me she's done with Jessica. I don't even know what's salvageable from this. But at least now I understand why Jessica flipped out the way she did. She built her entire relationship with Mike on a lie, and the wedding was just the final performance. When it started to fall apart, she tried to make Rachel the scapegoat. I haven't spoken to Jessica since. And I honestly don't think I will. Next story. My name's Amanda, I'm 34, and I've been married to Rick, 36, for 10 years. My sister Lisa, 31, lost her husband in a car crash last year. Since then, she's been staying in close touch, mostly with Rick. Not me. Him. It started small. She texted him for help with stuff around the house, errands, emotional support. I didn't think much of it at first. But then it became weird. I'd come home to find her and Rick hanging out alone, watching movies together, talking in the kitchen like a couple. The breaking point was one night when I came home from work early and found them asleep together in our bed. Clothes on. Not touching. But it didn't matter. That was our bed. I asked Lisa to leave, and Rick acted like I was overreacting. Next day, she was back. I opened the door to Lisa crying. She ran straight into Rick's arms. Didn't even say hi. I stood there awkwardly, and she looked at me and said, "Can you give us a moment?" I went to the other room, but I couldn't stop myself from listening. I heard moaning. I thought I was imagining things. I walked back in. They were making out on our couch. I didn't say anything. I just walked out and locked myself in the bedroom. I think I was in shock. An hour later, Rick came in. Sat on the edge of the bed. Wouldn't even look at me. I asked him what the hell was going on, and after a full 5 minutes of silence, he whispered, "I love her." I was like, what the actual hell? I asked if the past 10 years meant anything. If he had ever loved me. He said yes, but he regretted not dating more before we got married, and that he thinks Lisa is his person. I dropped the biggest thing I had on him. I told him I might be pregnant. He didn't freak out. Said he'd support me no matter what. Then told me he was still leaving. Said I deserved better. Offered me the house, the car, everything. Just wanted out of the marriage. I told him to get the hell out. He tried to hug me. I shoved him off. Then someone knocked. He left saying, "We'll figure this out." I called my mom. She said Lisa had confessed to her weeks ago that she had feelings for Rick. Mom tried to get her to back off. Clearly, that didn't work. The next morning, I took a test. Not pregnant. Bittersweet. Later, I found a handwritten letter from Lisa in my mailbox. She apologized. Said she didn't plan it, but she was vulnerable. Said Rick filled a hole in her life. Claimed they didn't do anything until the kiss I caught them in. Said she hopes I can forgive her. Rick texted me that night. "I still love you. We can work through this." I didn't reply. 3 days later, my mom called again. Said she'd known about Lisa's feelings for Rick for months. Lisa had promised she would let it go. Clearly, that was a lie. I didn't want to write this part before, but here it is. In that same letter, Lisa blamed me. Said I flaunted my happy marriage in front of her. Said Rick told her he never really loved me. Told me not to contact him directly anymore, and that she'd bring the divorce papers in a few weeks. Then today, everything got worse. Lisa is pregnant. My dad told me first. Rick confirmed it when I called him. He didn't even sound sorry. Just said it wasn't supposed to happen like this. I reminded him we had been trying to have a baby for years. He didn't even flinch. Then he said the wildest thing I've ever heard from another human being. "We could still have a baby if you want." I lost it. Asked him why the hell I'd want that. Then he said he thinks he's polyamorous. Said he wants to be with both me and Lisa. I hung up. Lisa texted later that day. Said she'd be dropping off the divorce papers next week and expected me to sign them on the spot. Said Rick's giving me everything and that they're getting married next month. She even had the nerve to invite me. Said if I agreed to pretend like I was never involved with Rick, I'm welcome at the wedding. She wants to rewrite history. Erase the fact that I was his wife for a decade. Rick texted again tonight. "I still love you. I want a family with you. We can fix this." I didn't reply. To be continued if I can stomach it. If you've been through anything like this, let me know. I feel like I'm living someone else's nightmare.